more that you can lean into your own personal discomfort, say what needs to be said in a non-offensive way, the more you make the world a better place.
All right. Good afternoon, social media. Thanks so much for being here. We're coming to you on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, excuse me, and LinkedIn. Welcome all to Tuesdays Live at 5. On Tuesdays here at Jumpstart Mastery, our lives focus on a topic that's useful for everyday life, for everyday people, and certainly what topic is more appropriate than this? Conflict with loved ones that we can't avoid. We cannot avoid the conflict. We can't avoid the loved one. We're going to have to step into that uncomfortable space. And how do we optimize our likelihood of positive resolution, positive outcome, change without creating drama, without creating more conflict, and, hopefully, reducing the likelihood of the same conflict in the future. Perhaps you can identify with a recurring argument in your intimate partnership, in your domestic relationship with your sister, with your brother, with a parent. I think that many people can identify with this idea of a recurring argument. We have a worldview, they have a worldview. They clash. Appraisals are made. Often there's attribution that is inaccurate. We're attributing someone's worldview to a motivation that is incorrect. The argument recurs. Perhaps you know what this feels like. So let's talk about some interpersonal communication ideas that simply work in the resolution of conflict and bringing about understanding. Let's just talk about those, and then we'll try to build some context around where those things are occurring, which are in our relationships with family. I think anybody, I'm going to move this a little closer. I don't know how hot my audio is. I think anybody who has experience providing de-escalation skill and service and technique in a professional way would agree with the basic premise that de-escalating people we don't know is generally easier than de-escalating a loved one. In fact, a LinkedIn colleague of mine, Ryan Dunlap of Conflictish, there's a video clip of him circulating around right now. This is a man who was a professional hostage negotiator in the law enforcement sector for many, many years, has been involved in a number of high-risk negotiations. The hardest negotiations he ever entered into, by his own admission, was with his wife. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people experience difficulty in terms of conflict in their intimate relationships with more intensity than other places? Well, here's one proposition to consider. The relationships within family are very often the ones that are the most vulnerable because they provide conditions for the most need by us to be shown. I have the most need of my intimate relationships, my intimate friendships, my intimate family relationships, my intimate partner. I have the most need in those relationships. So if any condition arises where I might feel that need may not be fulfilled, what's another way of saying that? You've heard me opine about this a lot. We know scientifically that a goal being blocked or an expectation being violated is a fundamental cause of aggression, fundamental cause of emotional arousal. So if I have the most need in my intimate relationships, wouldn't I feel more in touch with the possibility of a goal being blocked or an expectation being violated? You bet. You bet. So the first takeaway that we would want you to consider, enjoy about today's Live at 5 session is that we can all agree these relationships, conflict with loved ones that you can't avoid, those are going to be the most challenging negotiations, generally speaking. So if we know that's the case, wouldn't it be reasonable to employ skills, knowledge, information, techniques that minimized the potential for escalation? Do we know what those are? We do. We absolutely know what those are. Here's the challenge. We are most instigated to be reactive in these intimate relationships. We are the most prone to overlook the things that we would do perfectly well with a stranger because our emotional arousal is higher because of the perceived loss, goal being blocked, expectation being violated, that the conditions of an intimate relationship present. The prescription for it to work, for you to engage those moments more effectively, the prescription is no different than it's ever been. Well, what's that prescription? Well, some basic fundamental ideas. First, even if you disagree with the worldview or opinion, allow it to be fully expressed by the other person instead of interrupting them or challenging them on the basis of your assessment of their wrongness. Does this happen in your intimate relationship? It certainly can in mine. My wife and I are both very sensitive to our own propensities to potentially cut the other one off and reassert our position. I'll do it to her, she'll do it to me. And it's only when there are occasions, because we have found it very useful to work with someone when we have to navigate some particularly complex things, that all of a sudden the conditions of the meeting are different. And now we have this environment where everyone is safe to freely articulate their thought without indulging the impulse to cut someone off or abruptly interrupt their stream of thought. There can be a lot of motivations for that, by the way, that are genuine. I know my wife's motivation. When she is inclined to cut me off, she does that now. I now know why she does that. There was a period of time I did not know. I know now. She does not want to forget the thing that she needs to be able to say, in her view. She needs to be able to say this. I don't want to forget it because Andy is going to go on for another 5 minutes, because Andy, her husband, can speak for 5 minutes like, changing a pair of socks or filling up the gas tank. It's that easy for me to talk for 5 minutes. And she does not want to lose the thought. Yet, when we are in a different setting where there are controls that are in place, her fear of that diminishes. Why? There's another party that's remembering some things associated to what I said. Or maybe she's taking the opportunity to write things down. Or she is asking for a pause in my stream of thought so she can address something instead of abruptly cutting me off. Isn't that interesting? This is a fundamental principle within active listening. Listen. The act of listening Think of active listening as the act of listening. Listen. What are the skills? They're summarized in the acronym MORE PIES. Where can I learn about them? ChatGPT, Google. Use these skills. You would use them if you were trained in them and you were engaging the public with de-escalation. Why wouldn't you use them in your intimate relationship where you want to optimize success, understanding, collaboration? What's another fundamental principle that allows for better outcomes in your conflict with loved ones? Here is a core idea. You're in an intimate relationship. We've conceded that. You're in an intimate relationship with another human being. This is a discussion today about conflict with loved ones. I think everyone here can agree, isn't there a cost of not saying what needs to be said that you can feel? How many occurrences in your relationship are you carrying things that need to be discussed, but you don't because you have either been conditioned by the reactions of another person or are afraid of the actions of another person to the extent that you don't say them? You don't say them, and then you live with the discomfort of that. And where does that generally show up? Irritability, resentment, things that are corrosive. We have to concede that in intimate relationships, in relationships with loved ones, there are inconvenient things that need to be discussed sometimes. And if that is the case, that is more desirable than not speaking about it. And guess what? Here's a big takeaway. Not discussing what needs to be discussed is not on the other person whose potential reactivity is the thing that you are crediting as the reason that you can't bring it up. Nope. That's all you. I am responsible for what does not get talked about. If it's important to me, not the other person. I'm responsible. That's a heavy notion to consider. I am responsible. I will tell you that the more that you become courageous to speak about things that need to be talked about, a general phenomena occurs in the world. People start to like you less because you are willing to do what they are unwilling to do. And what they are experiencing in observing you, leaning into discomfort, overcoming your fear, and speaking something that needs to be said, can often, to an onlooker or a bystander, be something that gets called, that's being a bully, that's cocky, that's too direct. Meanwhile, the high likelihood is that what that person is carrying around are a very, very high number of occurrences of not speaking up when they had the opportunity to and couldn't muster the courage to do so. This is not a dig at people who are struggling with this. I'm just here to tell you that it is not someone else's fault that you don't bring something up that needs to be said. And if you are living with the corrosiveness of resentment and irritability and regret for not bringing something up, that is not the other person's fault. That's on me. That's on you. At least that's the perspective that I'm offering today. So if that's the case, and something that has to be discussed is going to be discussed, I'm committed. I'm going to bring this up. I got to bring up my husband's drinking. You think they didn't have that conversation with me? Got to bring up dad's drinking. That took some courage, and it changed my life when they did that. Changed my life. that they had the courage to do that. Just for a moment, think of the life-changing power that your courage can offer to another human being. This is why lived experience and the peer model works so well, because there's a lot of courage there for people in the peer space to say, I had a relationship with homelessness. I had a relationship with serious substance use. I had a relationship with serious mental illness. They get it out there and people resonate with that. Now I got to have this discussion with a loved one. They're going to talk to me about my drinking. Maybe I have to talk to you about your explosiveness. Maybe I have to talk to you about how uncomfortable it is to watch you putting videos on social media that are wildly inappropriate and offensive to me. I got to bring this up. We're in a relationship. I have need in this relationship. You have need. You're posting these videos that are freaking weird. I got to bring it up. Why? I got to clear this out. I got to clear this out of me. I got to liberate this. It's interfering in the relationship. What are some ways I might do this that would optimize success? Well, how about avoiding appraisals and labeling of the thing and instead talk about what I think and feel? What are some methods that we can do that? What do you think I'm going to say? I'm going to talk about VDSP and OFNR. Let's do an OFNR for a loved one who's engaging in weird, unsalutary behavior on the internet. You think this hasn't happened in a family? Happens every day in families. Hey, so I observed a video where you kind of partially disrobed and did some stuff on social media where I guess you were expressing yourself. That's observation, feeling. I felt terrified about what people may think about that and what people may think of me about that. I need to bring to your attention that I am not only afraid, but that I need a sense of security in my relationship with you. Would you be willing to help me understand what it is that you're doing so I can somehow resolve this anxiety and fear in me? Was there anything labeling or offensive or appraising in that OFNR? No. But it is a way to have a difficult conversation. I see what you're doing. This is what it's making. This is what I'm feeling when I observe it. These are the needs I have. Would you be willing to give me more information so I can resolve this anxiety? I think Marshall Rosenberg, I've said this a million times and I'll keep saying it, did us one of the greatest services in the world by emphasizing the appropriateness and necessity for people to disclose their personal needs. We are not a needless society. In fact, we're an incredibly needful society. Everybody is running around getting their needs met in a variety of ways, constructively and non-constructively. Being able to articulate one's need has fundamental power in bringing about your own agency to resolve it. Please do not fall into the pitfall of thinking that I'm suggesting by getting outspoken about things that are wrong in the world and correcting them, I can be okay. No, that's not what I'm proposing. I accept that I can't control everything in the world. Probably I can't control anything. And I am responsible for my own anxiety and my own attitude and my own agency to resolve it. So if I have a family member, by example, that's engaging in some freaking weirdness on Instagram and I want to talk about it, I'm not going to ask this person to change it or correct it. I'm going to ask for them to provide some additional information so I might understand it, so I can resolve the anxiety myself. What are some things in your intimate relationships that you need to talk about? Do you need to talk about the reactivity of your intimate partner? Do you need to talk about some hygiene practice, leaving the toilet seat up? Do you have to talk about how frustrated you are that you feel overlooked because they don't remember the thing to do that they said they would do, and they said it'll never happen again, and it keeps happening? Got to bring that up. Got to bring it up. That is, if you have a need to be heard about it. Are you resigning yourself to not bringing it up because you have already concluded that it's never going to get better? They're just going to be overreactive. I don't want to fight. That's not the other person's fault. That's not the other person's fault. You can bring it up in a way that sets the opportunity for change potential. OFNR is one way to do that. Let's talk about, we'll just use toilet seat. We'll use toilet seat combined with, I've heard you pledge to put it down 1,000,000 times. Ready? George, I noticed the toilet seat up again, and I noticed that it keeps happening. I feel completely unimportant and dismissed because this is occurring regularly after these conversations. And I need to know in my intimate relationships that what I think and feel are taken seriously. Can you help me with some ideas on how we might get to a place where this shows some improvement? If we're able to do that, that would help me reconcile what I'm living through regularly with these observations. Did that say you're an inconsiderate asshole for leaving the seat up all the time after you've pledged to not do it? Did I say that? No. Did I say you don't give a shit about me? No. I said I feel dismissed and unimportant. Those are legitimate feelings. What did I say that I needed? I need in my intimate relationships to know that I have value. What was the request? Would you be willing to help me understand why this is hard? Or something that is continuing. That way I can try to adjust how I'm experiencing it. As Gary Nesner says, we're not guaranteeing that things are going to always de-escalate. We're offering you the highest likelihoods of things de-escalating. So I hope that you got something out of this. I hope it was of some value. I went a little longer than I normally do, but it's been a while since I've gone a little bit longer than I normally do. It's been a delight to be with you. We have a lot happening this week on LinkedIn and social media platforms. We got 4:00 at the Jumpstart Mastery Network on Thursday. We have all kinds of hope reform sessions occurring this week. We had a great one with Mike Delay earlier today. Got 2 more toward the end of the week. Tune into that YouTube channel, Hope Reform, where I'm interviewing experts from around the world for the benefit of the Hope Reform organization. Jumpstart has some super cool trips planned for the summer where we're going a lot of places to bring our training into New York City and to other parts of the adult correction system and juvenile justice system and in the workplace violence prevention front. I'm really excited to share that content with you. We got a lot of great things happening, and I hope that you're deriving some value out of these sessions that we're doing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All the best to you. Take good care.